extension of Good Morning Uganda. Now, I'm Robert Cherabo Nyonitono, in case you have just joined, but just a quick reminder, every weekday we are here from 6:30. That is when we start off with Good Morning Uganda, the Fantastic Four, plus a big team behind the scenes to ensure that it come clear to your screen. So make it a date with us every weekday. Now, we shall all grow, hopefully, and at one time reach an age where the body says, I have to retire. If you're a government worker, 60, well, you have to retire. Even if you're in private business, you reach that time. Moreover now, Uganda's life expectancy has increased. So majority of us will hit the age of 63. Now, at this time, you're not very productive in terms of energy as you used to be. And this is a time where we find that many people live hard lives. A person was working on TV, he was able to earn a salary, now he's no longer, he has retired, and life has changed so much. So today, we want to look at social protection in the financial year 2024-2025. How are issues of social protection being handled? We just had the G77 summit plus China, and the theme was leaving no one behind. When we talk about the SDGs, they look at leaving no one behind as we move towards 2030. But there is this group that if we don't think about it, it's contributed much to national development, but then we seem to be leaving it behind. Now, I'm humbled and honored to have Peggy Joy Wako, who happens to be the national female member of Parliament representing older persons. You're most welcome, Honorable.
Thank you, Moderator.
And then on my extreme end, I have Titus Ouma, Senior Program Officer, Capacity Building, Expanding Social Protection Programs, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. Titus, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Moderator.
Now, I want to begin with you, Titus. When we talk about social protection, briefly throw more light on this, and if at all there are measures that government is taking to ensure that no one is left behind, they fight vulnerability and poverty.
Yeah, thank you very much, Moderator. Like you rightly said, this morning we are discussing issues of social protection in Uganda, but I think it is good enough if we would first define or say the meaning of social protection in the Ugandan context. So in the Ugandan context, and you know we have even the national policy for older persons, national social protection policy, which defines social protection as the public and the private interventions to address risks and vulnerabilities that are faced by people and that dispose them to income insecurities and social deprivation, hence leading to undignified lives, a life of suffering, a life of destitute. So the interventions that are in place are there by government and by by private and government to address them. Now, social protection as a subject or a sub-theme in Uganda's economy has two pillars. That is the social security and then social care and support services. Now, to unpack social security needs a lot of time. But just briefly, I would say that social security looks at things like, social security again has two sub-components. That is direct income support and then social insurance. So direct income support, which is under social security, has programs like SAGE, the money we give to older persons, has programs like the special grant for persons with disabilities, has programs like the ones which cover street children, as well as all those grants with disabilities. So that is the beneficiaries don't contribute, it's non-contributory. But then we have the social insurance. These are now pensions, like the public service pension, as well as the NSSFs, and even the individuals who come together and pool their resources. Those are contributory, aiming at protecting yourself covering yourselves in times of what? Of shocks and vulnerabilities. So that is what I can briefly say about social protection in Ugandan context.
Now, let me bring in Honorable. You represent older persons in Parliament. Now, what are some of the issues that older persons are grappling with, and how best can they be solved or handled?
Thank you so very much, moderator. The issues or the challenges the old persons have are so many. First of all, being an old person itself is a big challenge. You have been an active person. You have been doing A, B, C, D. Now, all of a sudden, you find yourself that you cannot do what you used to do. If you have been running a public office, you are told to retire. If you have a home, you find yourself isolated. You have been left alone. Your children and other family members have gone somewhere far to work, and you remain alone in your home. That is another big challenge.
Isolation is also a problem.
It's a very big
You had people around
problem.
you. Sometimes you have a very huge house, and you're the only one there, or two of you.
That is a very big problem, and it causes most of our old people to die early. They die before they would have died because of isolation. He has nobody to talk to. He has nobody to share with. And because of being isolated, he gets stressed, and in the long run, he dies. But the major one, which people think of, are these related illnesses. Related illnesses, the pressure come in, diabetes come in, you lose sight, you start using glasses if you can afford. If you cannot afford, you just do without glasses. The hearing component, you don't hear well. Somebody talks to you, thinks you are hearing, yet you are not hearing properly. And of recent, and the most dangerous one, are the cancers. When I was growing up, I never saw any of my grandmothers and those old persons I used to see complaining of cancer. But today, it has become a uniform. All of us old persons, I think 80%, although I have not done proper calculations, but I think about 8% are dying of the cancers. All those are challenges affecting our old persons. We are stigmatized because when you are in the village, they think that an old person is a witch, yet you are not. Even your own relatives, they will start calling you a witch doctor, which you are not.
Some will say during the day you walk with a bent back, in the evening you're upright and normal.
Exactly. Then again, you might want to get a small loan. You go somewhere wanting to get a small loan. When you reach there, they tell you no way. At your age, even especially this is common in the bankers. I personally suffered it when I wanted to join politics. Let me give you a living example. I had my land titles. I had my properties. I had my bank accounts. I was a pensioner. I went to my bank. I wanted money because I was running for a political office. And I requested for a loan. They said, well, madam, you see.
You high risk venture.
What? I said, now what can I do? I need a loan. My land is there. My house is there. They said, okay, this account of yours, you are there alone. Can you have a joint account with one of your sons? Then we give you a loan. I had to bring in my son to be on my account as a partner, yet there is nothing he puts there, but simply because I wanted a loan to get to join politics because I didn't have enough money to use. That thing really hurt me. But well, that is life, and that is what you can do. You cannot.
The injustices we must fight for the old person.
Yeah. And then another thing, government was doing many programs, and most of these programs, we as old persons, we were being left out. We were not given a voice. to speak for old persons. That is why I thank the government of NRM and our present president, Kaguta Yoweri Museveni, for thinking about us old persons, for involving us in so many programs, one of which was advocacy. As I talk now, we have structures of old persons right from the cell up to the national level. That's why I'm seated here talking as a member of parliament advocating for my old persons, which was not there before. By the way, it was not easy getting these posts or these constituents of old persons, because some members of parliament were saying that why? It's not necessary. We have some old persons in parliament. We don't need another constituency. But we had strong people like the late Cecilia Ugwar, may her soul rest in peace, who advocated for it and made sure that the constituency of old persons was created in parliament, and with the support of our president, here we are in parliament advocating for our old persons.
Now, how best can these bottlenecks be addressed according to you?
The bottlenecks, as I have told you, right now we already have structures, right from the LOC1 up to the national level. And you know, once you are in parliament, this is a place where laws are made. So when they are discussing the budget, it is parliament which appropriates funds. We as old persons, who as old MPs who are in parliament, we have to make sure that our constituency is allocated some funds to cater for their programs, which was not there before. And once these funds are allocated, we don't stop there. We even follow it up. We go on oversight visits. See, surely the money they are giving to SAGE, the money they are giving to SECOP, is this money catering for the right people, or they are misusing it?
However little it is.
However little it is, I know it
Because
is very little.
25,000 a month, and they get it per quarter of a financial year, maybe about 70,000. Still really is slightly little.
Well, it is little for somebody who has. But I think it is not little for somebody who doesn't have anything.
True.
And for your information, with that 25,000, as little as it is, when we are doing oversight, these old people are so happy. They even show us things they have done. I was able, and we were in the north, the old woman was showing us the goats she had bought. I was in my place in Kanungu, I come from Kanungu. The old woman was telling me, you see, my latrine had collapsed, but the money you gave me, I managed to put up a new latrine. So with them, old people are appreciating. Much as it is not enough. You see, Rome was not built in a day. So we hope things will improve as they have been improving slowly, slowly. We haven't given up. And the good thing is to say is that now, since we are in the system, we shall keep fighting for old persons. We shall keep advocating for them until we are sure that they also reach that standard. But so far, the old people are happy, they are appreciating. If I may give you another example, most of these old people, when they retire, getting their pensions has been a very big problem. Some of them reach the point of dying without getting their money. But now that since we are there, such things are the ones we are fighting for. We face the Ministry of the Pension, the Public Service, that our people are not being paid. What are you doing? And they try to improve. But before they didn't have a voice, but now the old persons have a voice to speak for them. And I'm happy about it.
Well, you're still watching UBC TV. It is Good Morning Uganda Extra, and we are looking at social protection in the financial year 2024-2025. What is social protection? Why should our government prioritize social protection? This is where I want to bring in Titus to give us the various programs that ensure they reduce vulnerability in the various groups that we have: the children, maybe just the youth, and finally, Honorable's constituency.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. The vulnerable persons of Uganda are citizens of Uganda, and they also deserve services, just like any other segments of the population. So arising out of that, like how Honorable has said, government has put in place a number of programs to address the needs and concerns of these vulnerable persons, ranging from the youth, women, persons with disabilities, the older persons. So right now we have allocations of about 13.3 billion for women, youth, and children in Uganda through the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Now, there are also many other programs that target the youth. If you look at programs like remand homes have been established in Uganda to address issues of children who are in conflict with the law. We also have reception centers to host children who are still in conflict with the law, as well as assisting children who are on the streets. So we have those programs which are being run by the Ministry of Gender. On the other hand, you talked about the youth. You are aware very well that we have the Youth Livelihood Program, which is a big government program being run by Ministry of Gender and is supporting the youth. We also have youth institutions such as in Tao, in Mukono. We have one in Kasese known as Mubuku, as well as Koblin in Karamoja region. These youth institutions are training centers which are used to skill the youth and give them vocational skills. So government is also running those ones to ensure that the plight of the youth is addressed. However, also the youth in the current PDM program are getting some allocations of about up to 30% for the youth to form groups and benefit from the PDM program. Like I said about the the persons with disabilities, we have heard of rehabilitation centers. We have one in Chireka, we have one in Rweza, we have one in Ochoko, that's in Arua, and then we have one in Ruti, in Barara. These ones are used as centers to mobilize children who are having disabilities and youth to be equipped with skills. But also, government, through Ministry of Gender, provides them with assistive devices, the blind, those ones who are physically handicapped, to be able to participate in the economic development of the country. That said, I want to come to the issue of where Honorable is saying about the older persons. Indeed, government has flagship programs such as the SAGE. SAGE is the Social Assistance Grant for Empowerment. These are grants which are given to older persons on a monthly basis. And we are targeting people who are 80 years and above, and they get 25,000 per month. And if you do it quarterly, they get 75. Government is allocating big amount of money to that program, about 120 billion in a financial year, although it's not enough, because their cry is that the people we are targeting are few, because the policy says that the older persons are men and women aged 60 years and above. So we would be working within the policy aspirations, but unfortunately, due to limited resource envelope, the program is considering only those who are 80 and above, although efforts are in place to see that this age is lowered. Okay. And as well as the threshold of the beneficiaries is also raised, at least from 25 to something like 30 to 40,000. So that is what is happening. But generally speaking, I think the older persons should be very happy with the government. They should be very happy because their voice has been heard. They have been brought to the limelight. This program is admired in all countries of the region here, the SAGE program. So they are happy about it, and they are benefiting. Actually, there are already studies to show, there are reports show that social protection has been very, has contributed to the economic development of the country. Because these older persons who get the money, they get engaged in productive activities. How? They hire youth and give them some monies to do farming on their gardens, and then when they harvest the food, they sell and get money and contribute to the economic development of the local economies. We also have these older persons pooling their monies together. Okay, some of them don't use all of it. They pool their monies together and then do savings, and then they end up building houses. They end up buying cows and goats, and that all leads to overall economic development of the country. So generally, government is doing something for the older persons.
Well, so much is being done for the older persons, the SAGE, which is a grant, but also empowering them still. Group of 5, government has money there for them if they have a proper economic venture. Now I want to bring in Honorable, who represents one of the representatives of older persons in Parliament. Now, what is Parliament doing as per its mandate to ensure that it addresses the challenges of these older persons?
I think government has done its level best. First of all, it created structures which were not there before. Right from the SARE or the LC1 up to the national level. Through those structures, our voices are heard. Because even at the district, in every district, we have 2 councillors of old persons who present issues of old persons in their district councils. And when the districts are planning, they are supposed to plan for these old persons. And then we at the national level, as I told you, when the Parliament is appropriating some funds, we make sure that programs for old persons are catered for. And we follow it up. We even go to the extent of going to the Minister of Finance to make sure that old persons are given something. Even at times things become so hard, we have to bring in the President to tell him our plight, that this and this is happening, old persons have not received anything. Please, Mr. President, you help us. And usually, most of the time, he assists us. Then you talked of SAGE program. And SAGE program is catering for a small percentage of our people. That is from 80 years and above. And as you are aware, there are not many people who reach that age, because according to our census, now our lifespan in Uganda is at 63. So what government has done is to make sure that from 60 years up to 79, they put on another fund. This fund was created by the help of the President. He gave in some money. He directed that old persons should be given some money as a grant. And to begin with, this financial year which is ending, we are given 5 billion. And with this 5 billion, we told our old persons to form at least groups of 5. And those who formed their groups, and the groups were approved by the Minister of Gender, each group received 5 million. And this 5 million was shared among the members, and we are following it up to see that this money is put into proper use. Even during this coming financial year, we hope we shall again get 5 billion or more. We had requested for 10 billion, but in case if it doesn't come, even if they give us 5, we shall be contented with that. It will also go to our groups. And especially we in Parliament, and at times with the help of social protection, and even we just ourselves, we do a lot of oversight. We follow it up in our constituencies. We follow it up to see what these old people are doing with that money. It isn't for buying drugs. It isn't for just enjoying. It is money for them to do something, for them to earn a living, so that they don't live on this business of requesting for funds from their children, from whoever passes, give me something, give me something. We also want them to be self-reliant. You know, the first challenge I told you of these old people is their health. Now, what government has done is to make sure it has built a lot of health units, health centers. Up, there is health center 4, health center 3. At least, as I talk now, I'm proud to say that in every sub-county, we have their health unit. And for your information, in the past, drugs used to come from the ministry, NMS, to go to these units. Whenever they could be packing these drugs, they used it to pack for pregnant mothers, for children. Old persons were never thought of. We said, no, this is wrong. When you are packing these drugs, make sure you include in the drugs for these old people, like for pressure, for diabetes, etc., etc. And now what the government did, they no longer pack those drugs direct from the ministry as such. Instead, they send money to the districts. And when they send money to the districts, the district health committee, they are requested to make sure that when they are requesting for drugs, drugs for old persons are included. Another challenge, as I told you, is the cancer. You are aware we have one cancer institute at Mulago.
Yes. And
the machines which are there are not enough. But I know, I've heard this from reliable sources, from the Minister of Health, that they are trying to do their level best to make sure the machines which are taking our people to India can be brought here in Mulago, and we get these services also here within Uganda. Because as I tell you, me an MP, if I got cancer today, I would be rushed to India or another good facility. But how about my old mother in the village or another old person who cannot afford to go to India? So the government is planning. Things cannot be done in a day, as I've told you. Government is doing its level best to make sure we have the best machines within our country, so that when our people are sick, they can be attended to. Another problem we had is these medical personnel we have. Most of these medical personnel we have, when they were being trained, you don't blame them. When they were being trained, they were not trained to treat old persons.
Actually, we have very few specialists, if they are in the country, because I last knew of one.
Yeah, there was one.
Yes.
At Mulago.
Yes.
But as I talk now, we have put on pressure. Government has started training other geneticians at Mulago. They have opened up a training for them. Soon, next year or the other year, I think by next year, they'll have qualified, and they post them in all our health facilities. Because it has been a very big problem. An old woman goes to the hospital, she reaches there. When she explains her problems, the medical assistant or a clinical officer will tell her, Madam, with you it is old age. They give her Panadols, she goes back. But now the government has put in place a training for people who are going to come out specialized in handling old people, so that when our people, when they go to these health facilities, they will find their people to cater for them, not only to wait for somebody to come at the referral hospital at Mulago, and in Mulago there is only one specialist. That one, government has also seen it, and they are working on it, and I'm sure soon it will be history.
Now let's look at the proposed budget framework paper 2024-2025. Is it people-centered in your view, Honorable?
In my view, yes. really, we tried as much as possible to make that budget people-centered. But as I have told you, challenges are there. You know, right now, we passed that bill of homosexuality. Most of the donors removed their grants, removed their assistance. But that won't stop our country to continue running. So you cut the cloth according to the material you have. The money we have is not enough, but the government is trying as much as possible to see that even if it is very little, let's share it. We see what goes to the economy, we see what goes to the road infrastructure, and they are not forgetting we old persons. For example, SEG program is not going to stop. SEGOP program is not going to stop. They may get little, but still they will get something. They are not forgetting them.
Now I go to Titus. How has government ensured that social protection is integrated up to the lower levels for better planning?
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Just before I respond to that, we still have some donor support in the area of social protection, because at the moment, much as government is giving us 120 billion for the SAGE program, but we also have World Food Program and the CEDA. They are also supporting social protection interventions, specifically in the West Nile regions of Uganda, targeting over 10 districts. And so we think that is good, because it is augmenting the efforts of government. But also, before I go to the question you said, programs, other government programs which exist in Uganda should now not isolate older persons just because government is giving the SAGE money. So we advocate for other government programs to take on older persons and support them and assist them in their programming. That said, we are integrating social protection interventions at the lower local governments. That is very true. Because first of all, the actual implementation of these programs takes place at the district levels, sub-counties, and up to parish levels. For instance, the money for older persons, it is paid at the parish level. That means that these people have been, local government levels have been integrated. And then also, there are efforts in place, like for me, I'm in charge of trainings and capacity building. There are efforts in place to ensure that stakeholders in the local governments, their capacities are built in the area of social protection, so that they can be able to understand and know how to implement social protection interventions. But also, we, as Minister of Gender, we have ensured that social protection coordination committees are formed in local governments, such that they are given a mandate of ensuring that social protection issues are brought into the council discussions and council deliberations and mainstreamed in the development plans of the districts. And also, the other one is that government has ensured that the staff who perform social protection activities or work are recruited. That's why recently there was a huge recruitment of parish chiefs under the PDM program, and the parish chiefs are very pivotal when it comes to implementing social protection programs in the local governments, as well as the community development officers. There is also a program known as Transform, which is helping to train government officials from national level up to district level, and this is still being funded by the what? By the World Food Program under that donor support which I just mentioned. So generally speaking, the issues of social protection are really mainstreamed and they are integrated at lower local governments, because even we have in place forums for the CDOs to be able to advocate and argument on social protection issues, and we coordinate with them from lower level up to here at the national level.
Titus, with that good structure and that good government plan, why are we still seeing gaps in social protection? Because all seems rosy, according to your explanation, and honorable as well. You know, what is that is hindering things from moving? Let me talk about Honorable's constituency. When you move throughout the villages, you're going to find very many older people, and the problem has been now worsened. These are old people, looked after their children, educated them, or whatever that happened. Now, instead of resting, their children are sending grandchildren, even some not facilitated at all. So she's old, he's old, and then he's fending for the grandchildren. I don't know why. Honorables here love grandchildren so much that they can't say, take your kids because I had also my burden. You know? So you find the situation then a very pathetic situation. The old lady has to move around, do all sorts of work, beg, some even steal people's food because they have grandchildren around them.
I think that, let me come in. I think that one is I would say it's a general problem. Okay. But for government to make sure it caters for such things, that's why they introduced this program of parish development model. Because with the parish development model, the money will come from the center and go direct to the parish. And at the parish, the old persons have been given 10%. And what is 10%? If 100 million came from the national, the old persons are going to get 10 million. And with that 10 million, if they are in every parish, not selective, in every parish, with that 10 million, if at least during this quarter, 10 old persons can get a million each, they utilize it effectively by starting something. And next quarter, another 10 million comes for the same. Now you give a different group, not the one you gave at the first time. I think within 5 years, really, this problem will have reduced.
Yes. But yes, just to supplement on what Honorable says, you see, the older persons, we say SAGE, or the social assistance grant for empowerment, or the senior citizens grants, are giving money to those ones who are 80 years and above. However, we are cognizant that there are also those ones who are from 60 to 79 who are not getting the money of SAGE. And that's why they put in place the SEGOP. SEGOP is the Special Enterprise Grant for older persons. It's a program targeting those ones. They form groups and they are given 5 million. So we believe that if we have catered for the other individuals of 8 and above, then also we cater for these ones from 60 to 79 who are in groups, then their plight will, I think, be sorted. However, management of the older persons in light of the suffering which you have just highlighted should not only be left to government, should not only be left to institutions. The people, the families should also care for the older persons. Why are families isolating older persons? Why are they leaving them lonely? And why are some leaders saying now we cannot give you support in maybe this program X because you have SAGE, because you have SEGOP? We are saying no. There should be a concerted effort to ensure that older persons are looked after in a round manner. Even at family level, we should advise the children who go to cities, like she has said. You go to cities and then they produce children and throw back to the mamas in the villages. That is bad manners. Okay? Maybe it is okay they should throw them there, but do you follow up with any support? Okay? So that's what we are looking at. And also, we are saying that the old informal social protection needs to be revived. I have been in charge of capacity building and training and telling people that the old social protection, whereby we used to have what the Uganda call bulungi bwansi, self-help groups, should come in place. Because you find somebody is like a destitute, an old person, a man has no home. Why can't the community members mobilize Harambe and go and build for him or her a hut? We are trying to revive that kind of informal social protection as opposed to the current situation.
Well, Honorable, as you give me your parting shot, please you can also have that interjection. We must get out of here.
I see. What I wanted to add on is that I'm one of those who don't believe like these developed countries where they have built homes for these old people. We are Africans and we have a culture. And in our culture, most African countries, we have these extended families. I think we should keep it in mind. If somebody produced you and managed to look after you, were 10 children in the family and he brought you up, and you have now managed to start and go to live in Kampala or another city, why can't you look after your own parents? I think that one also, children should think about it. Don't neglect your children, your parents, that because they are old. It is very important to look after them. As I end up, as the moderator has said, you know, we are celebrating our 38th NRM Day, and I wish everybody happy celebrations. And with our theme of this year, which states that building a Uganda that we all cherish. Let's together we build a Uganda which we shall all cherish, including old persons. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Peg Joy, who represents the older persons in Parliament. In just less than a minute, Titus, if you can make it.
Thank you very much, moderator. My parting shot is that social protection should not only be looked at as a subject for the vulnerable persons. Social protection, actually, you, the moderator, or me, who look able right now, we are candidates for social protection. We are candidates. You can, God forbid, get an accident. You can lose a job. You can lose a dear one, and you fall into vulnerability and the shocks of life. So that means that we need to take the subject of social protection serious. We need to advocate for it. We need to plan for it. We need to budget for it. We need to really ensure that the resources are allocated for the benefit of social protection programs in Uganda. Thank you very much.
Well, I want to thank you so much, my guests, and above all, our viewer. Thank you so much for being with us right from 6:30 till now. We do appreciate, and above all, let's ensure that we all prioritize social protection. Reason being, you never know when fate may strike, like Titus said, but also when we are finally in that age of 60 and above, our life expectancy has increased. If the world is to meet the 2030 goal, we should ensure that we leave no one behind and address various forms of vulnerability. See you tomorrow. God willing, have a blessed day. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Have you packed more with Harbour jelly and Harbour foam?
Yes, we packed.
It will protect your skin from skin rashes.
Move it back.
It is a new improved Morbid Harbour jelly. So soft and smooth.
It is a Morbid Harbour jelly.
Tell me, kids, the scent. Any irritations? No more rashes and irritations. Movit Harbour Jelly and Harbour Soap is rich in natural herbs for a smooth and glowing skin.
Movit All Day Confidence.
The energy of this land comes to life in dreams and memories. It lights up in these nights and leads us to new horizons. It pushes us to go further and see bigger. The energy of this land comes from here. It comes from Africa, and it vibrates in each of us.
Empowered by Africa.
Oryx Lubricants, powered by Africa.
Yeah. And you're
know when